find a green screen here. Hello there, everybody. This is Hey, this is Natural Fitness Lifestyle. Today, I want to talk about the topic of how to properly position your back. So, I get into it, this video is not meant for recommendation or advice. This video is meant strictly for educational purposes only. So, how do you bend down and pick something up from the ground? Well, the same way you would when you would do any other exercise that involved in bending down and reaching for the ground, whether it's reaching towards your knees, reaching towards your upper thighs, or reaching towards a bar or any other exercise apparatus. What is the proper way to do it, and what is the angle? What should the angle of the back be? So, to answer that question, to find the answer to that question, first you have to realize that the spine has 27 vertebrae. These vertebrae must bend one at a time. What happens is, if you try to bend from one segment, from one vertebrae only, it's going to transfer the force unevenly throughout the rest of the vertebrae. So when you bend down, if you are going to round, it should be done, it is, according to studies, most efficient. So this is what we're talking about, most efficient. The vertebrae bending one vertebrae at a time. So you got 27, right? So first of all, we have to distinguish that the spine bends up. It extends up and it rounds down. And that the vertebrae, the strongest vertebrae, most resistant vertebrae, strongest and most stable vertebrae in the human spine is thoracic vertebrae, because the thoracic vertebrae are connected with the rib cage, and that the rib cage lends support. The rib cage at the thoracic spine lends powerful support, and therefore the thoracic vertebrae have the most mobility and the most capability of rounding. So, bending, initiating, reaching towards the ground, initiating, reaching towards a bar, is most efficiently done by bending from the thoracic level. So, the thoracic level is the area which is around the shoulder blades, in between the shoulder blades, I should specify. When you do that, you're not only bending properly, but you're engaging the strongest muscles, which are the rhomboids, the spinal erectors. You have the upper back muscles, the teres major. You're also engaging the serratus anterior, which the serratus anterior is strongly involved in the extension, and the serratus posterior as well, are both strongly involved in the stabilization of the spine of the shoulder joint, the glenohumeral joint, because the glenohumeral joint, shoulder joint, is involved in the extension of the spine. The glenohumeral joint, shoulder joint, works together and articulates and coordinates with that spinal movement. So you have to be conscious of keeping your shoulders back. How are you going to keep your shoulders back? If you're rounding at the back, then you have to keep in mind, how are you going to engage your core? If you're bending from the lower back, how? The gluteus muscles, all the hip muscles The obliques, the internal, the external obliques have to be engaged before you start bending. That's right off the bat. Before you start doing any bending, reaching towards the ground, whether it's with no weight, with its weight or whatever, you have to engage the core. To do this, there are a lot of different opinions and a lot of different views. Some people say exhale, expand your belly, inhale, tuck in your navel. Hey, how you doing? Hi, Hank. But the fact of the matter is, you have to engage the entire core. And you have to inhale first. Fact of the matter is, it depends on two factors. It depends on your ability, your mobility first, your spinal, your condition. If you have spinal injuries, then you're limited, right? You're limited in what areas are weak and what. So this matters. You have to assess yourself. You have to get on the floor. There's recommended to do pelvic tilts when you're laying on your back where your back has supports. The pelvic tilts will let you know the mobility and the strength of the lower spine, the lumbar spine more specifically. And then you could flip over and you could test your cat-cow. Now, flip over before you do the cat-cow. Flip over and attempt some Supermans very slowly with your hands at your side. So the Supermans actually activate the proper muscles to be used when bending. Without proper activation of the muscles, you shouldn't bend. The Superman is an exercise that helps activate the spinal erectors, but also helps activate the core and the gluteus muscles, the hip muscle structure, which is also part of the core. So when we're talking about core, we're not just talking about abdominals and obliques, we're also talking about gluteus muscles. So when you're laying face down on your belly, on your chest, you slowly roll up at the chest level. Don't crank your neck back. Maintain the head aligned with the body, which is the most recommended way to do a Superman. Keep the chin tucked in. Keep the head aligned with the body. Slowly roll up from the rib cage. Do not extend back. Roll. Pretend your rib cage is a wheel and you're rolling from the center to the back of the wheel. Slowly. Don't hyperextend. Control your descent. Roll back down. Control your descent. Now here, when you're doing the Superman, you're actually practicing how you're going to breathe for the deadlift or for reaching. Not. I'll take that back. Not for the deadlift, but you're practicing how to breathe properly when you're reaching towards the ground. How is that? Very simple. When you roll your chest up in the Superman, you exhale. Expand your sides, contract your gluteus, contract your belly button, your belly, entire belly, and your gluteus. When you roll the chest, your ribs back down, inhale through the nostril and tuck the belly button in. Actually, before you commence your Superman, you first inhale through the nostril, tuck the belly button in, engage the gluteus, contract the gluteus. Exhale. Then you expand the belly and the sides. Maintain the tension on your abdominals and your gluteus muscles. Roll back down in your Superman. Again, inhale through the nostrils. Draw the belly button in. Maintain the contraction of the lower abs and the glutes. Again, I'll repeat. You roll the rib cage up. Exhale, maintain the tension on the glutes and the abdominals and the obliques. So from there we go on to some cat-cow exercise. You're on all fours. Inhale. Slowly draw the belly button in. Now here's where the tricky part comes in. You're moving slowly, moving the entire spine as if it was a bridge that's sinking at the center. So you're starting from the upper spine, drawing your belly button in as you allow your back to extend up. So you allow your upper back to extend up, it's automatically going to arch your back. You don't try to arch your back from the start. You don't start your arch. You don't start with an arch. You start with extending your back forward, up. And in the cat-cow, you exhale. Draw all that air into the abdominals. Exhale strongly. Draw the air into the abdominals. As you focus on rounding your upper back, the thoracic here, the thoracic area. As you do, you're also going to contract your upper gluteus. And then you repeat. Inhale, extend the upper, draw the belly button in, keep the abs contracted, extend the thoracic spine upward. Reverse it, exhale, expand the belly, contract the abdominals, allow the thoracic upper spine to round upwards, contract your gluteus while you're doing this. So that's how the cat-cow. If you have difficulty in performing the movement of the cat-cow, you do not ever in your life attempt to reach something rounding your back, because it shows that you do not have good control in rounding your lower back, that the proper muscles are not strengthened properly, the proper muscles are not strengthened thoroughly, and they're not ready for you to bend down towards the ground. So another alternative way to bend down and reach towards the ground is simply to bend the knees and hinge at the hips. Pull your hips back. When you pull your hips back, you're engaging the glutes, the hamstring, you're keeping your back straight, and you're extending your thoracic spine up. So now this is going to involve very strongly the tibialis, your feet. If your feet are rocking, see this? That's your instep. Your instep has to be placed strongly on the ground when you're reaching to bend down and pick up anything. If it's not, then your shin is not going to be aligned properly. If your shin isn't in the right position, your knee isn't in the right position. If your femur, your upper thigh isn't in the right position, your hips are not. And if your hips are not in the right position, neither is your spine. So if you bend down and pick something up, you have to pay attention to the position of your feet. You have to pay attention and make sure that the soles of your feet are firmly planted on the ground, that your instep is pressing into the ground, engaging your tibialis, which is engaging your shin muscles also. Because when you do that, the medial quad. So this sounds very scientific, but it's necessary. It's not simply telling somebody, oh, it's okay to round your back, because no, it's not. You have to first have the ability to control, to activate all the muscles involved in it. That is done by the exercise that I started out with in this video. The Superman, the pelvic tilts, the cat-cow. Now there are also other exercises, the thoracic rotation, the mobility of the thoracic rotation, the ability of the hips, the ability of the hands, the mobility of the hamstrings, the mobility of the ankles, all those joint mobility segments are involved in bending down. I mean, people just think of the joint mobilities of your spine when considering reaching down and bending down, but it's also your ankles. If you have limited ankle mobility, guess what's going to happen? You can't bend out your ankles. And if you can't do that, automatically your lower back, your lumbar is going to start to curve. It's just called the kinetic chain. This is why you can't just place a ruler cannot place a rule and make a rule stating that it's okay to round them back without first considering the kinetic chain of the world, all the joints, all the movement, all the muscles of the body work in unison. That's by the way it's called spinal articulation. So look it up, boys and girls. And remember, this video is not meant for recommendation or advice. This video is meant strictly for educational purposes only. So this is Natural Fitness Lifestyle. Wishing everybody a good, healthy day. And bend efficiently and bend intelligently. Just don't bend with the muscles. Make your body intelligent. Make your body be able to move intelligently.